eShooter recently came out with the Kestrel V2 Optical Mosfet around August 2022.
eShooter sent me this Mosfet at no cost to review and test out.
I agreed, but my condition was based upon honesty. So for you guys, I'm here to document my experience unboxing, installing, setting up, and testing out the Kestrel V2 Mosfet.
I'll be making 3 videos for review, install, and testing.
So just make sure to check back and follow so you catch the whole series. For eShooter's official channel, make sure to check out their documentation, app use, and installation videos on eShooter_tech on YouTube, or check them out on Facebook and Instagram. They already have a lot of great stuff posted. The Kestrel is an optical dual board MOSFET, and I'll discuss some of its features in more depth throughout the video series. As a bit of a disclaimer, I've tried my best to ensure all information presented here is accurate, but please do your own research to confirm. First, let's get this MOSFET out of the box. The first thing that you'll see is the manual. Flipping through the installation and user manual guide, my impression is that it looks pretty good. Pictures are great, very descriptive, and will be helpful for even a new technician. They also include selector plate stickers and extra backing stickers for the MOSFET board, which we'll touch on later. With the Kestrel MOSFET, get an accessories kit that includes 0.3mm shims or washers. You also get a connectors kit pack containing M2x4 screws, plumb blossom metal washer, sardines, heat shrink tube, double-sided tape, an extension arm for the 30-round mag switch, and an extra mini fuse. You also get 0.5mm and 0.2mm shims or washers. And of course, you get the rear-wired Kestrel V2 MOSFET. I asked them about a patch or a sticker, and they're actually developing that for the future. My first impression on the quality of the MOSFET board was that it looks pretty good. Immediately, my mind of course compares this to the Titan solely based on the looks of the MOSFET. There's also a unique micro switch that is external to the Sentry system so that it operates the magazine mode on the basis of the magazine being physically removed. Currently, if this mode is enabled, it's set to a 30 round limit only. The mode can be turned off, of course, so you can fire your full mag. eShooter also let me know that they'll allow further user adjustable settings for the round limit and future application updates. The biggest difference to competitor MOSFETs here is that there's no timer option to simulate a mag change delay instead.
As a full disclosure, I have to give the switch a negative review for the user installation process. I'll go over that more during the MOSFET installation video. You can remove the switch if it doesn't end up working for you, and it won't ruin functionality of the MOSFET, but just be cautious if you care about the warranty.
With the Kestrel, one thing I noticed is there's a sticker on the back. The sticker is present to avoid conductivity between the MOSFET board contacts and the gearbox shell. Be sure to heed the warning labels and do not remove it. If the sticker gets damaged, they've included spares for you. Their application is available on Android and iOS. I'll go through the application in a separate video. I have this nice multicam painted M4 sitting right here collecting dust. I originally acquired this gun in a trade for a pistol, and then immediately and completely gutted the gun for a total overhaul. On this gun I was having some trigger safety issues, so let's toss that old manual trigger unit out and drop in the Kestrel V2 to see if we can make an improvement on it. I will discuss a few key differences and comparisons to other similar MOSFETs. I will focus mostly on the differences I've noticed. If you think I've missed something, leave a comment. I will also share some of the feedback that I've already provided to eShooter. I can also confirm through my review they are eager and willing to discuss feedback and make improvements to the MOSFET, the manual, and the control app. They've also been very quick to respond, answer questions, and to provide support with challenges. Overall, I found the installation and user manual relatively straightforward and easy to use, except I did get hung up on one step that was a bit different from my experience installing Titan MOSFETs, and that's the calibration setting. There's an automatic sensor calibration feature for the app which goes beyond just selector plate sticker placement and tuning. Just be sure not to skip that step if your sensors aren't detecting properly. Other things that I like about the Kestrel MOSFET are that it's pre-wired to DINs.
The DINs connector they use is very nice with a rubber grip.
I noticed the MOSFET also comes pre-wired with a mini external fuse in line. Competitor MOSFETs are hit or miss whether they have an external fuse.
Usually they'll have one if they don't have an internal fuse.
The Kestrel MOSFET also has an internal board controlled fuse too, so there's actually dual protection. At your own risk, you can cut the external fuse out if the wiring is too bulky for your build. Another well thought detail is the segment of loose heat shrink they provided on the wiring run. It's nice to be able to slide this around and use it to help protect wires where you feel you need it most, such as the bend or pinch points on the gearbox or buffer tube. I also compared the Kestrel MOSFET to many other competitors to see what might make the Kestrel V2 worth purchasing. The price point for the Kestrel MOSFET is fairly competitive at 135 CAD, or about 100 USD at the time of writing. Of course, there are other cheaper MOSFETs, like the Aster or Perun, but these lack the benefits of the dual optical board MOSFET design, Bluetooth, and some app features. Honestly, the biggest bonus feature of the Kestrel is the Bluetooth included. The Kestrel is one of the cheapest MOSFETs that I've seen with Bluetooth connectivity included at this price point. To compare, the Titan is offered at about $140 for basic firmware, the Perun V2 Hybrid is $120, the Jefftron Leviathan is $180, although it includes a CNC flat adjustable trigger, so if you remove that, the price range is about right. The only other comparable MOSFET with Bluetooth out of the box for this price point is essentially the Jefftron, or perhaps the T238 MOSFET. The Titan can add a Bluetooth adapter, but for a hefty price, so many may opt for the cheaper USB adapter in that case. The Kestrel V2 has an optical sensor system for all detection, including the trigger, selector, and sector gear. This is similar to the Titan. The Perun and Jefftron use a combination of optical or magnetic or microswitch sensors for detection. Kestrel does not currently support brushless motors, but I did ask them about this, and eShooter has already included this in their future development plans. Competitor Mosfets and brushless motor manufacturers do note potential compatibility with no guarantees against damage. Be sure to check the Mosfet and motor manufacturer's recommendation to ensure all instructions are followed if you're going to use brushless motors. The Kestrel Mosfet does have battery discharge protection. The app does not specifically tell you when this voltage limit will cut off, but if you watch eShooter videos, it cuts off at 30%. I checked with eShooter and this occurs at 3.3 volts, which is probably the lowest I would like to go. Other Mosfets like the Perun are set to 3.7. The Titan on basic firmware is either 3.2 or 3.4. I've suggested that a custom user setting, say 3.3 to 3.7, would be a nice feature for user flexibility. Of course, the Kestrel Mosfet does have active brake and pre-cocking. The pre-cocking settings are quite comparable to other Mosfets with on-off and high to low adjustment ranges. The active brake has no user setting control, and it would be implied as on. I asked eShooter if active brake is on for all firing modes, but I decided just to check this out myself. I tested by turning pre-cocking off, and then knowing that active brake is not currently user adjustable, it's either on or not, based on the default setting. For my testing, in all semi-based modes including semi-binary, burst, sniper, and the semi-stage of AUG mode, the piston ended up in neutral or a forward position with good consistency. In full auto, however, the piston sometimes ended forward, but also ended in various stages of its cycle or was inconsistent. You may just want to swap to semi and fire the gun afterwards, or if you're using pre-cocking, then it really won't make a big difference. eShooter let me know that they're also working on additional development of the active brake feature. Another piece of feedback I've seen common on review videos for the Kestrel is having to grind out the gearbox for the selector sensors. I found that I also had to do this for the Kestrel install. Every gearbox is different, of course, and it's really no big deal. Just be prepared with a Dremel or file for install. Another small difference is the burst mode settings. If you're keen on burst mode, then check out the different Mosfets for the options for the allowable burst range. The method for operation of sniper delay mode also differs. The Kestrel Mosfet will fire only upon trigger release for sniper delay, and you cannot currently set time delay between shots. Sniper delay or DMR mode on other Mosfets typically operates based on a time delay. You fire, then you cannot fire again until the set time is up to simulate the time for a full cycle and to avoid semi-spamming. If you see some of their earlier videos and previous firmware versions, the Kestrel did have a timing delay setting. I asked eShooter about this difference, and they have noted that they previously did have timings allowed, but they were given feedback from others that it could be dangerous if players forgot the gun was set that way. I don't necessarily see the danger in a forced time delay between shots, but if the delay was set to fire after a trigger pull, then of course that could have been a risk. At the time of this video, Kestrel includes free firmware upgrades, which is a bonus compared to the Titan. Titan permits free updates, but not actual firmware upgrades to other firmware like Advanced or Expert, which is a hefty fee. Currently, the Mosfet provides air feedback via vibration only. I've noticed in the app that there's no diagnostics or notification tab for error codes. I've asked eShooter about this, and they are working on additional development for errors or a diagnostics tab to display in the app. They have noted that they would like to still keep the vibration feedback to alert the user to immediate issues. So in conclusion, should you get this Mosfet or not, I'll leave that for you guys to decide. What would steer me towards this Mosfet the most is the fact that they're actively developing it, which is nice to see that they're adding new features. Upgrades are free currently, and this is one of the lowest price points I've seen with Bluetooth included and then an app functionality. Be sure to check back for the second video on Mosfet installation, where I'll go over a detailed installation process and I'll highlight unique steps for the Kestrel V2 Mosfet installation. I will also make a third video for this series going over the control app and test firing the Mosfet.